Welcome, friends, in this awakening world, in a world that increasingly um, starts to know itself, starts to know that there is actually, and I hope you do, there's one thing that I would like you to know is that there actually is another option for you. You can You can ask yourself, how many times per week are you crying out of helplessness, despair, grief, sadness, worries? How many times per week are you reactive, having an anger burst or frustrated, deeply emoting? How many times per week are you not feeling actually too good? How long does that last for you? How long are you anxious, depressed? And to start knowing, this is what this channel, in the sense of YouTube channel, not channeling, is for. It is to actually tell you there is actually a different option. It isn't just, this is one of the biggest insights you can actually have, and I hope you have, is that there is another option. You don't just have to operate within duality, go to a therapist, go to a healing modality, go to any form that works within duality. And what the other option is you actually sincerely starting to discover what you are on the level of consciousness. This is your path out. This is your escape. It's not an escapism, it's a discovery. It's a remembrance that's gonna change everything. It's gonna change your whole idea of self. This idea of self that is falsely identified with everything that happens, that is perceived and then gets interpreted in relation to a supposed me, is gonna collapse. And what that leads to is actual inner freedom, an actual complete change of how you are in this world. You are no longer the same. You're no longer gonna be the same little me, continuously swayed by its own programs, emotions, conditioning. But it involves this complete self-honesty. How many times per week are you actually happy? How many times per week are you reacting, sad, depressed, anxious, crying? And then to see this, and then to inquire and to see there is a path out of suffering. This path existed or exists for all those that are actually interested. It's an eternal, pathless path. It's an eternal option for you. But this world, this Kali Yuga that we are in, you know what the problem is with this level of ignorance? Is that people don't even know anymore. There is a different option. You can discover yourself as what is at peace, what is happy intrinsically. This intrinsic happiness isn't an experience. It isn't something you tap into and then you return to this senseless, constructed, idiotic, sorry, sense of I. It is a revelation. It needs these two things. You need to say, okay, this is actually, I am suffering. People are so used to their own suffering, and that's ignorance. But this is all that there is. Duality is all that there is. Me having to be okay with life, with my own duality, trying from this personal construct, is all that there is. No, it's not. There is a different option. Whether you believe me or you believe one of the other teachers that actually, opens your eyes, there is another option. This option has been as forgotten as everything else in this yoga that we are in. So there is another option. This option involves seeing your suffering. This option involves that you start understanding, apart from addressing relative suffering, personal suffering, within the personal construct, within this relative form, there is another option. That option is starting to discover what you are as awareness, as consciousness. This discovery, even as you are discovering that, will change even how you see duality, how you move within duality, how you work with duality. It's going to change everything. So, my most important thing is for you to actually, get that. It is really different. It isn't just like this little, little change, little transformation, or, partial transformation, or this time-bound transformation. It is what is eternally at peace. This is already you. It's just undiscovered. It needs to be discovered. So this YouTube channel is offering you, this continuous pointing back to this option, and also simply also for you to start knowing this, believing this, trusting this, discovering this. Whether you then come to my online course or you actually go within yourself or go to somebody else, it's all great. It is just for you to know there is a different option. And what I'm presenting to you is an ancient text from yoga. People were asking me, why aren't you just doing a satsang? Or, why don't you just go someplace and preach from something? It's just not prompted. Yeah, it wasn't prompted. What was prompted was writing a commentary on the Yogasutra and talking about it. Now, this is still not an entertainment channel, and it is also self-funded, and it depends on you actually being interested in it. If you're not really interested in commentary that is based on this recognition of your true self, then I'm going to end this commentary after the second chapter. There are 4 chapters of this book. It's as simple as that is. It is my offering to you. If that offering is also completely, if like 5,000 people are watching and only 5 people have the heart to actually put up a like for this, thank you to those 5 that put up their hand, then that shows that there isn't an interest. The interest is still for entertainment, bogam, enjoyment. There's not enough interest for a sincere inquiry into the self. Then this commentary is just gonna end by the end of the second chapter, which is kind of sad, but then that's also okay for me, It's all what it is. Now, where we are at in this Yoga Sutta is in 247. It is the second sutra on asana, what many people believe yoga is. Yoga is originally another darshana. This is a very nice name for philosophy because darshana already says seeing. Usually darshan you have in a temple. You are seeing a divine form. You're visiting a divinity in a temple and you have a darshan. You're seeing, you're glimpsing divinity. Darshana is also a seeing of reality. There are these different darshanas, 6 darshanas that came out of the Vedas. One that is becoming more known because it also is pointing you back towards your true self is Advaita Vedanta. It's one of the darshanas also. Yoga originally is also a darshana. A darshana that also actually, that's what this Yoga Sutra expounds on, is a path to liberation, a path to discovering your inner freedom. A very sacred treatise in that sense, pointing you back towards what you are, freeing you from this idiotic sense of self. That's just not what you are. So, yoga philosophy's main idea, not just idea, but pathway, how to discover your true self, is to make a distinction, a continuous discrimination between what you are, your nature, consciousness, awareness, and what is perceivable, prakriti, the world of form. Now, this discrimination has to become experiential. It needs to be done. You need to practice this. You need to detach from what is perceivable because you're caught up in what is perceivable, what the senses postulate, what your mind postulates. So there is an experiential insight. There is an experiential recognition that starts to dawn on you as you start discriminating between your nature and what is perceivable. Now, in the second chapter, Patanjali talks a lot about this suffering, what has happened to you, this complete identification with this world of form, with what is perceivable, with your body mind, with all of this. And this has led you to this feeling of constriction, this causal suffering, this causal, sense of self that just isn't what you are. Again, what you are is consciousness, pure awareness. And then he gives you a path, the so-called Ashtanga Yoga. Now, the Ashtanga Yoga in Patanjali's Yogasutra is not an asana path. It is an eightfold path of yoga. If you look very closely at those 8 limbs, you can use all of them actually for a deeper inquiry into your nature. So, how deep you want to go with those limbs of yoga, and to also take those limbs of yoga beyond the dualistic frame. You know, that's the biggest problem these days, is that these texts, but also everything that's postulated as a path, as a practice, as a meditation, is always coming from this focusing on objects, object focus, object focus, object focus. So you're always working within your mind, your own duality, that you actually exist beyond the mind, and that you need to go beyond the mind, and that those practices, meditations, whatever it is, need to point you there or help you discover what you are beyond the mind. It's often forgotten. And so all these limbs can be used, and yes, I don't negate that at all. Also, in my experience, they can help you tremendously, even within this relative construct. Relative, make your life better, offer you profound healing, offer you, a spiritual path and stronger devotion, dedication, all these kind of things. Also, asana can do. Also, asana can be, but it can also always, everything be used for deeper inquiry. It's just my question to you is always, how deep do you actually want to go? What is it that your soul actually wants? And do you understand, again, coming back to my first question, because it is my my biggest wish for you. Do you understand there is a different option? The option doesn't pertain only to few. Why it pertains only to few is because of one's sincerity, to really also see one's own ignorance, one's own not knowing, and also one's wanting to know, wanting to go, wanting to discover, wanting to inquire, not just staying put with suffering, staying put in your sense perceptions, staying put in what you think is all that there is to life, or to your life specifically, because you're so identified with patterns of suffering or patterns of, you know, agitation. Maybe this talk is causing you agitation because I'm telling you there is a different option. You don't know that option, and so you're just, the ego is tilting. Well, welcome to the yoga of ignorance. This is one of the great things, Instead of rejecting that there is a different option, there could be a curiosity coming out, even out of agitation, out of frustration. There can be a curiosity, there can be a motivation coming out. It's always how we see things, how they land, and what then internally happens for us. So this is the second sutra on asana. This asana, again, can be used for your relative construct. This is what it is mainly used for in this nowadays. But it can also just pertain to meditation or inquiry or just sitting down. The first sutra said that your posture should be steady and comfortable. Now the second sutra says prayatna shaitilya. Ananta samapatibhyam. What does that mean? It means with steady effort. prayatna. What happens? Shaitilya. It means that tensions or blockages can be released. How? Ananta, the infinite. Not nanta, finite. Samapatibhyam, an intense connection to what is infinite. So, where should your focus be? On this duality, on this relative construct, on the finite, on your person, on the next day, on when the practice is over, on all these things? No, or at least not if you want to release blockages, release tensions, release, patterns, all these patterns that we don't want to have. So he says, then you need to have an intense focus, samapatibhyam, intense binding to ananta, the infinite. What in you is infinite? Have you ever witnessed from the space of awareness appearances and found and took your focus away from whatever is appearing as you're witnessing to that which is aware, that which is witnessing? There you will find, if you do that, then you will find it is non-local. Then you will find it isn't enmeshed in anything that appears. Then you will find what is infinite. And then you will find this is you. Because there is something in you that is aware of rather than enmeshed in. Are you the one being aware of, or are you the one that is perceived? You're nothing that is perceivable. You're infinite intelligence. This infinite intelligence isn't limited to even your body-mind. It doesn't operate in space and time. It doesn't need to. It doesn't need to use the senses. It is beyond all that. Now, the word that Patanjali uses in the sutra is ananta. It means infinite. It is also a link to himself. Ananta. Patanjali is said to have been the Ananta, an incarnation of Ananta Shesha, the serpent of Vishnu. This is, Vishnu is the god in Indian mythology that is there to keep the world in a good place, to keep, to rescue the world in a way. And he sleeps on this serpent, Ananta Shesha, He sleeps on the serpent in the cosmic ocean. And he's just, he wakes up sometimes when the world is in great need to actually wake up again. So Patanjali is said to be an incarnation of Ananta. If you remember Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita it says, from all the serpents. This is what Krishna says. From all the serpents, I am Ananta. I am this serpent. This is the cosmic serpent, not a normal serpent, the cosmic serpent, pointing you already also back to your own cosmic, intelligence. Infinite intelligence. This is your discovery. You as infinite. You as infinite intelligence. Patanjali, Pat means to fall. Anjali is, prayer. It is said that Patanjali fell into the hands of prayer, came to also help this world. Help this world what? To actually know itself. Also said to have written this commentary on the Yogasutra, or not this commentary, this Yogasutra, compiled it. He's talking that he just compiled it in a way that becomes clear what is the path to liberation. Compiled it as one of the fundamental treatises of yoga. He has also written a commentary. That's the commentary, a commentary on a Sanskrit language, on grammar, Sanskrit grammar. And also, a treatise on Ayurveda, on healing. Those were the three aspects that interested Patanjali. And this Yoga Sutra is one of the main texts of yoga philosophy, of the darshana, of understanding yoga as a means to know your true self, as a means for liberation. So in the Sutta Ananta, you can also say is a focus on Patanjali himself. But again, Patanjali, this infinite intelligence, is what you are. It's pointing you back to yourself. And this is the second sutta on asana. How asana should be, Whether that is now your asana as a meditation, and then this second sutta is really inquiring into, you're sitting down and you're inquiring into, you make a right effort at inquiring into what in you is infinite. Trusting, knowing you are infinite intelligence right now already, just forgotten, just not known to you, just ignored, completely ignored. So you make a right effort at inquiring into what in you is infinite. You come again into contact with what in you is infinite. This knowingness, even about your own infinite nature, can, Shaitiliya, help you release blockages, release tensions, release patterns. Then awareness, what you are, this consciousness, we think then, it will still work this all out in the finite, in this body, in this thing. You have no idea what all then is worked out simply within awareness. Then your mind is used in a different way, Just a lot is then just worked out in your mind, but not even in your mind, in the deeper essence of what you are. Not even everything has to even be conscious to you. This is your remembrance. Your remembrance, I'm not this finite, idiotic, identified person. You are infinite in your nature. It's a complete, this text is such a treasure also. It is really, over 2,000 years old. It's such a treasure because it is so bold also in its statement, you know. It's so bold. It doesn't shy away from being bold in its scope and in blowing this right into your face, you know, so that it lands not out of the deepest compassion that there is in a world of ignorance. There is a different option. You are infinite, you know, you are infinite. Will you discover this? Will you come to discover this? Come to know yourself again, what you are, you know? Shed those skins like a serpent of endless cycles of birth in identification, in idiotic suffering, in mental despair, in emotional turmoil. When is it enough? When have you experienced enough? And then not enough, another lifetime of seeking happiness in objects in the outside world, not knowing where is happiness found. You are intrinsically happy, but it needs to be discovered, you know, needs to be discovered. And it can be discovered. So here, second sutra on asana, with right effort and an intense connection, an intense focus on what is infinite, ananta. Blockages are removed. Again, the main blockage is wrong seeing, avidya, misknowledge, misperception of your actual nature as consciousness, awareness. Other blockages can be removed in a different way, you know, by what you are, by a stronger recognition of what you are, by the stronger discovery of what you are. So this is the second sutra on one of the limbs of yoga. First we had the yamas, then comes the niyamas, and this third limb of yoga is asana. Second sutra on asana. There are 3 sutras on asana. Obviously, yoga has lots of texts. Yeah, and there are also texts that work more with asana, you know, also exist. And this text, this is the second sutra on asana. Namaste.